This is Michael Popok, Legal AF, the civil rape case against Donald Trump in Southern District, New York, going to trial on April the 25th, despite 2 attempts just this week alone for the Tacopina and Haba lawyers for Donald Trump to try to get a delay. They've tried now twice. They've gone at the judge twice, Judge Kaplan, to try to get a 30-day delay, and it's been denied twice, except in the most recent denial, there's a little bit of a twist because Judge Kaplan is giving Trump a 1-hour continued deposition before the trial on one issue, which is there a litigation funder that's providing any of the money for the lawsuit? How is it being paid? And does this go to her credibility? Because she had once answered in her deposition to the question, how is your legal fees being paid? She said it's paid on contingency, which means the lawyer's taking a percentage and is not getting paid otherwise. Are there any other people paying your expenses? She said, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'll get back to you. There's an opening. Now they have learned, only because the lawyers for E Jean Carroll have revealed it in a letter that they sent over to Haba and Tacopina and said, oh, by the way, while we're preparing our client for her testimony in the trial in about 10 days, turns out that on that one Q&A, that one question you asked about funding, she wants to clarify that she now knows or knew at the time and had forgotten that a small portion of some of her fees, not attorney's fees, but fees and costs that go along with putting on a trial of this magnitude, were paid by a foundation related to and owned by Reid Hoffman, the LinkedIn billionaire, ex-LinkedIn billionaire, who donates regularly to Democratic causes, big Hillary Clinton supporter, big anti-Trumper. He gets to spend his money where he wants. He often gives litigation funding for people who otherwise would not be able to pursue justice. And at the end of the day, who cares? I mean, Donald Trump is currently the focus of a different issue in the federal prosecutions by Jack Smith, which is where's he getting his money to pay his tens of millions of dollars of legal fees? And they're coming from super PAC set up by Donald Trump, Save America PAC, which has raised, $300 million or more on the back of a lie that Joe Biden is not a legitimate president and there was a false election that was handled. We know where his money's coming from, including some of that money going to help defend him and E Jean Carroll. So why does it matter? Some people are saying, oh, the judge has turned on E Jean Carroll. Look, if Tacopina and Haba really thought they had E Jean Carroll dead to rights on this issue and it was an attack on her credibility, let me tell you from a trial lawyer's perspective, they would not have made a big ado about this in filing letter briefs with the court. They would have kept it in their back pocket at trial when she was on the stand, and they would have impeached her, meaning they would have read aloud from her deposition transcript, and if she deviated from it on the stand about the funding issue that she just recently kind of refreshed her memory about, they would try to nail her, either impeach her, meaning there's a complete 180 disconnect between what she said under oath once before and what she's saying under oath at trial, or use it to attack her credibility in another way. The reason they're probably not doing that is because when you look at the transcript for E Jean Carroll's deposition, she left enough wiggle room about the issue of funding. It was almost like she had sort of remembered it and was leaving herself a little bit of an out. She said, I'll get back to you on it. Okay, well, there's the out. If they're not going to follow up with this other discovery to try to obtain information on this and wait until, make a big deal out of it a week or two before trial and try to use it as a grounds for another 30-day extension, I mean, that's on them. As Robbie Kaplan pointed out to Judge Kaplan, no relation, just the other day in her letter brief that she filed, they have been objecting to that question by Trump's lawyers. Is there other funding? Who is the source of the other funding? On relevancy and attorney-client grounds consistently from the beginning. And the lawyer, when you receive an objection like that in discovery, you have an obligation to take it to the judge and say, Judge, we got an objection. We should have an answer compelled here by you, right? So you can have the objection overridden, if you will, by the judge in the black robe. They never did that. Because Alina Habba doesn't know what she's doing and how to prepare a case. So they let that lie. And as a result, Robbie Kaplan had a good argument. Why isn't that waiver? Why are we even here talking about this? And how is it relevant? Now let's get to the facts. Here's the facts. And this is why Judge Kaplan was like, all right, you want an hour deposition to go over this issue and attach it to some sort of credibility argument and bring it back to me? Go ahead, knock yourself out. But as I said, if they really, on the other side, Trump's side, thought they had, we got her, she lied. It's perjury under oath. The lawyer's responsible as well, and that's suborning perjury. They would have just done it at trial. But because of the answers and the facts are not going to really be borne out, it's just going to go over it'll probably go over the heads of the jury, to be honest with you, on this very issue. Sometimes lawyers get very excited in the courtroom about issues like this. Oh, we got him. It's really exciting. And the jury just sits there like, meh, interesting. What are we having for lunch? Seriously, lawyers often are a little bit tin-eared. They're so hermetically sealed within their case. And listen, I do this for a living. It can happen. And so you're so hermetically sealed, and you're only talking to people that are on your side of the case all day long. And so it's an echo chamber, and you don't really get any new oxygen into the room to vet your issues and vet your positions. And you can kind of get lost. It's like being in the dark without a compass. You don't know where you are, and you think, oh, this will be a big hit with the jury, and you deliver it to the jury. And you look at their faces, and they have no idea what you're talking about, nor do they think it's very important in trying the case. So that's what we have right now. Now the facts are these: Reid Hoffman does have a foundation that he funded with all of his millions and billions he made from his sale of LinkedIn. For sure, he's a Democrat. All of the plaintiffs and lawsuits and other things that he funds with this charity organization that he created, this social justice organization that he created, goes to Democrats and progressives. That is all true. Does that mean that E Jean Carroll's case is a hoax because she's a puppet, because Reid Hoffman's just going after Donald Trump and E Jean Carroll's just a puppet? Talk about maligning and victimizing a woman who claims and has for a long, long time that she's been the victim of a sexual assault and a rape. To say that it's Reid Hoffman versus, this is like the ultimate mansplaining. Reid Hoffman versus Trump. E Jean Carroll's just there for the ride. Really? Try that in front of the jury, Joe and Alina, and see how that goes over. Especially after E Jean Carroll's done giving her testimony about being raped in the Bergdorf Goodman department store dressing room across from Trump Tower by Donald Trump. Good luck with that, but try it. But they obviously don't want to try it. They just want to delay. And that's what E Jean Carroll's lawyers pointed out. It's obvious. The tell, right? If we're playing poker, the tell is they asked for the 30-day delay. Again, they just got their 30-day delay rejected like a day before. They just need more time.
Now let's take a quick break to talk about our next sponsor, Paired. My wife and I, we're super competitive people, especially with each other. The other day, we were going back and forth about, who knew our relationship history better? So we took to Paired. Paired, it's a relationship app for couples. You and your partner, you download the app, pair together, and every day Paired gives you questions, quizzes, and games to have fun, stay connected, and deepen your conversations. You'll never believe what I found out about my partner through using Paired. Apparently, she really wanted to start playing pickleball. Now, I had no idea. The Paired prompt asked her what was something she wanted to start doing this month. She said pickleball, and now we're in a weekly game with our neighbors. It's simple and often hilarious. Each day, you get a quiz to play or a question to answer, and you can't see your partner's answer until you answer yourself. It's been so funny to see how close our answers are sometimes, but then how different they are other times. It's really made for some great conversations. Whether you're just a few dates in or have been together a long time, it's time to lighten the mood and have fun with your partner by using Paired. Head to paired.com/legalaf to get a 7-day free trial and 25% off if you sign up for a subscription. Just head to paired.com/legalaf to sign up today. Connect with your partner every day using Paired. A happier relationship starts here.
They just want more time. Donald Trump's not ready. He's running. Why is he not ready? Because I don't know if you've been following the news, but he's a little busy right now. He just had to fly to New York to get arraigned 10 days ago on a 34-count felony indictment by the Manhattan DA's office. He had to fly back just yesterday to be deposed in another civil fraud case brought by the New York Attorney General in state court. Now he's got to get prepared for a federal trial on charges related to civil rape. While all that's going on, he's got to be involved, I assume, with all of the 3 or 4 grand juries against him by Jack Smith, and running into appellate courts and trial courts to try to stop subpoenas from being issued to his former inner sanctum and stop them from testifying. By the way, they've all testified already at Jack Smith's grand juries in D.C. And then he's got to worry about Fani Willis, the Fulton County DA, Atlanta, Georgia DA, who's going after him for election interference. He's got a couple things on his mind. They need more time. It's obvious he's not ready. I've prepared people like this before, right? It's hard to get them to focus and get in a chair and be prepared, especially when they've got all this other stuff on top of the grift that he's doing on a daily basis. So that's their problem. But the facts are the facts. Now, what is the connection between Reid Hoffman and Robbie Kaplan's law firm? I'll make it easy. When Robbie Kaplan founded her law firm, and I know it because she founded it around the time that I founded mine in New York, she had left big law specifically to set up a law firm whose primary focus and bent was in public service, was representing people just like E Jean Carroll. She has taken on Donald Trump, this law firm, like 5 different times and has been successful each time. And so she takes on causes like this. Yes, they've got full paying clients and major corporations that they also represent. And she's been very active in the #MeToo movement. But a big portion of what they do as a law firm is public interest law, meaning they get funding regularly from public interest groups, including ones supported by Reid Hoffman. In fact, the relationship that was disclosed is that when Reid Hoffman's group made a grant to Robbie Kaplan's lawyer's law firm, this public interest law firm, if you will, it was for another case entirely. But I guess there was some money left over that wasn't spent on case number 1. And so at some point, the lawyer, not E Jean Carroll, but her lawyer, asked the foundation, can we use this for the E Jean Carroll case? And they were like, all right, we'll keep the money and use it for that. And there's costs that are substantial that if you do plaintiff's work, you would know that you incur hoping to get recouped if you win, but if you don't win, you lose your costs. Court reporters. I mean, you can go broke on paying court reporters for deposition transcripts. There could be, in this case, $50,000 or $100,000 worth of court reporter fees. There's filing fees. Every time you file something in the courthouse, you file your initial case, there's a filing fee. Then there's the infamous DNA report that an expert had to be hired about the coat dress that she had, E Jean Carroll. So there was, $30,000, $40,000, $100,000 spent on that. Then there's e-discovery vendors, which is electronic discovery where you take all the documents that are produced and put them on a database and they have to be sorted in a certain way. And you can get bills of $30,000, $50,000, $100,000 a month from these e-discovery vendors. So this law firm had expenses related to E Jean Carroll. Okay. And they were able to find a way to defray some of those expenses through a foundation that was founded by Reid Hoffman. What does that have to do with E Jean Carroll? The fact that they paid for pencils and paper from Reid Hoffman, or they deferred the expense of the DNA expert or whatever other experts they have. And, there's also another set of experts that had to get paid. Before I forget, there's experts about the damage, the reputational harm and damage, and the monetary damages that E Jean Carroll is seeking in her case. Their expert, the one for E Jean Carroll, is still alive and will be testifying. The one for Trump already got stricken by the judge. So there's not going to be a competing expert. But let's say that expert was $150,000. It would not surprise me at this juncture in the case if there wasn't $500,000 worth of expenses and fees that the law firm of Robbie Kaplan has incurred as a result. And so, I don't know, they got $100,000 from the foundation. What's that have to do with E Jean Carroll's credibility? So all this I do declare I can't believe she's perjured herself that's in the letter brief by Alina Habba that was sent in is ultimately going to be much ado about nothing. And the takeaway should be not what's been on the headlines of mainstream media, which is Reid Hoffman bankrolls E. Jean Carroll's lawsuit. That bankroll, that comes from the letter that Alina Habba wrote to the court. When you get down to the facts, it's not bankrolled. It's not that he's been paying. Let's say this has been already in time investment, and this is easy. I'll give you the math, by Robbie Kaplan's law firm. The time investment here could be $5 million for her and 6 or 8 of her lawyers. If you just click it off at her hourly rate, which is probably $1,500 an hour normally, down to maybe $700 an hour for an associate, you've been clicking that off for a couple of years, they could easily be at $5 million, given the hand-to-hand combat with the opposing side. And then add another $500,000, which is about right, about 10%, another $500,000 in cost. So they've got a $5.5 million investment in the case that has to, that gets repaid only if she recovers. So the law firm defrayed some of that. Good for them. Good on them. So this is going to go over quickly. There's going to be a 1-hour deposition of E. Jean Carroll in the next, 5 or 8 days before trial. It'll be a bunch of nothing about the costs and Reid Hoffman. They're not going to be able to establish, because it's not true, that E. Jean Hoffman is the puppet and the puppet master is Reid Hoffman in his efforts to attack Donald Trump. This is about a civil rape. This is about a rape that happened in a dressing room and a sexual assault as alleged by E. Jean Carroll and the defamation that followed. That's what this is about. Not about a proxy political battle between somebody that, despises Donald Trump and vice versa, which is how they're making this out to be. And I assure you, I know the jury's in New York and in the federal courthouse. This is not going to go over well with them. If this is their angle of attack on E. Jean Carroll about, how you paid for this is not going to go over well. But this is the reporting for right now. Second time they asked for a 30-day extension, Donald Trump's lawyers, it's been rejected. This case is going to trial on April the 25th. The issue of whether certain costs or fees were defrayed by a Democratic-backed foundation for E. Jean Carroll's case, given the sheer volume of dollars that have already been invested, is a much ado about nothing. And I think the deposition will prove that out. And at trial, it will not go over well with the jury. At least that's my observation. I make observations like this on Hot Takes on the MeidasTouch network about every day, if not every hour, in the era that we live in. If you like what I'm doing, you can follow me wherever you get social media from, at MS Popok. I'm always on the MeidasTouch network. I co-anchor a podcast in the intersection of law and politics called Legal AF on the MeidasTouch network. It's the only place you can get it. You can get it on our YouTube. You can see what we're doing. And I co-anchor it with Ben Meiselas and Karen Friedman-Ignifilo, or you can grab it on all your podcast platforms. But that's the reporting for right now. We'll keep you updated. This is Michael Popok, Legal AF reporting.
Hey, Meidas Mighty. Love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram, at MeidasTouch, to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.